Hello everybody, welcome back to Beric Saga. This map that you're about to see took me an inordinately long time to record, and I'll go over the reasons why in a minute, because I'm sure you will all experience a great joy of schadenfreude from hearing it. But to start with, we have a decent amount of preparations to do. I chose to offload as much item management as I could on this chapter, so that it didn't come up at the start of chapter 8 and extend the video for that. So we have our cutscenes first off, and then after that we have a very important one, and that is Aloof Swordsman. And this is important because this is the first permanent recruitment of a mercenary in this entire run. We now have Volo for good and all, and I never have to pay for him again, which is great because Volo is great, and I'm probably not going to deploy him again very much because he's a foot unit. But anyway, we continue on to do a bit of hiring for Happiness because we still need Derek and Esteban. In particular, Esteban has a time limit on reaching his Happiness, so we've got to accelerate that. And then I go to the shop despite my near poverty and pick up some freeze arrows. There was a reason behind this that unfortunately did not come to fruition in the final clear, but I'll go over it anyway when it comes up. So instead, for now, let's go over the important parts of the item management. Faye needs a vulnerary because she's going to be on the front lines and taking a decent chunk of damage, and she's also going to take the liquid speed that I happily did not feed to Ruby in the last map. And she needs that to hit a threshold to avoid activating an enemy's advantage. The rest of this is pretty much just generally moving items around to units who can actually use them. Although I will mention that Faye is also taking the Eagle Brace, again for reliability in a certain combat that she's going to be doing. After I deal with my item management and rearrange my units, I'm going to be moving on to the item selling screen, in which I'm trying to raise as many funds as I can by throwing out items that I know I don't need. I can't really afford to sell a lot of the items that are really expensive, but I do have an awful lot of Imperial stuff, which generally isn't the greatest in terms of accuracy, especially those old Imperial small shields that I collected for a civilian request that I never managed to turn in. I'm also getting rid of pretty much all of my arrows that are weaker than Bronze Plus at this point, because Silvers has much stronger arrows to work with at this stage. So now I'm going to complain about the RNG. At the start of the upcoming map, I was trying to get Kramer to dodge an enemy and kill him off, and the enemy had a 47% chance to hit, so you'd think that that wouldn't be too bad, right? But you would be wrong, because I kept on getting hit by that and having him activate his Swordbreaker's effect and break my sword and then injure Kramer afterwards. It got to the point where I was desperately googling how does Beric Saga calculate its RNG seed and how can I influence it, because I was just so frustrated at getting that rare thing 90% of my attempts. I didn't figure it out. I had to change my strategy up a little bit, as you'll see. Alright, let's now talk about the map. This is a seize map, and we can seize with Laurentia, because she can occupy the seize tile, but there are a couple of things that mean that she can't super accelerate this map. This is a desert map, which means that my 7-move units are going to be overly restricted, and instead I have to rely on my light infantry units for maximum movement. So the speed I clear this map is limited by that. Additionally, the boss has the hide skill, so Laurentia needs to be within 3 spaces of him to reveal him in the first place, and we need to get rid of him before we can seize. I choose to deploy some unusual units here. Both Aegina and Percival are coming, and I'm also bringing Enid along. Enid is here primarily for her slight increase in hit rate at 5 tiles, rather than trying to train her up here, and the mages have other roles that I will get to when it comes. Here we see Kramer finally managing to get the dodge that I wanted, but he also fails to hit in one shot in return, so we're going to have to move on and train him later on in the map. Laurentia, meanwhile, is flying due west away from where most of the enemies are, and that's because she needs to bait in a very special enemy. Showing up for the first time in the whole game is a dragon, in this case a flame worm. And the flame worm is pretty tricky to deal with because it has a very accurate weapon, which means that we're unlikely to be able to counterattack it. And also it flies, so I can't initiate against it at 0 range with anyone other than Laurentia, who's also flying. And as if that wasn't bad enough, if you do manage to 0 range it, it will deal damage to you every time you connect with it. So we need to find an alternative way to deal with it, and that would be Aegina's wind magic. On the plus side, this dragon is, I believe, the first instance where an enemy can have negative resilience and also negative dodge. So wind magic deals more than Aegina's attack to it per hit, and she has a chance to crit that she wouldn't otherwise. This is also why I had Sylvis buy the freeze arrows. If Aegina chipped the dragon enough, I would attempt to use Deadeye to kill the dragon at the start of turn 2. That didn't happen on this run, so Aegina ends up doing it. Additionally, at the start of turn 2, Fog of War sets in, which means that I'm not going to be able to see the enemies that I'm approaching from now on. That's kind of super annoying, but obviously we just have to deal with it. And it seems chapter 7 really is the chapter of Fog of War. Now, there's an archer attacking Faye, and her Arrowbane that she got from the food she ate at the start of this chapter is really coming in handy here. She needs to dodge the first attack from this guy because he has a sleep arrow, and since she is the boss killer, she needs to move her full movement every single turn on this map. And so getting hit by that sleep arrow would really cramp her style. Getting hit by the poison arrow, not so much, although it's still not ideal. And of course, now we have to get past the archer because he is standing in Faye's way. Kramer routinely missed one of his two 80% Scimitar Plus hits in test runs here, so in this clear I decided to have Sylvis chip him down and have Kramer take the kill more reliably. And I do need Kramer to take the kill because he needs to reach level 10 on this map, and so he needs at least 2 kills over the 3 turns that this map will last for. All of this allowed Faye to move forward, and that led to the remaining enemies starting to move in on her. Fortunately, she is easily able to dodge, and she meets both of them with critical hits, and killing the first one gives her an excellent level up with both strength and speed. Although the speed does mean that the liquid speed I used on her was kind of wasted, but whatever. Now, this remaining enemy seems like a perfect kill for Enid to start her on her journey to 5 magic, but because Kramer missed out on the kill back on turn 1, he needs to take this kill in order to reach level 10. And that is not something I'm willing to compromise on, so instead Enid is relegated to chipping the guy down for him. Laurentia is now making a move against the last enemy blocking Faye's path to the boss. This guy has the skill Axe Guard, which lets him use his axe as a shield, and so I didn't want that to happen, so I had Laurentia rush down and attack him before he activated it, but this led to him using a vulnerary instead, which means that that attack didn't end up doing much overall. However, that did prevent him from using Axe Guard this turn, and that means that Sylvis is going to be able to do enough damage to him in conjunction with Percival to break past and let Faye reach the boss. The unfortunate thing is that I probably could have chipped him down from here with Percival and then let Sylvis take the kill for some experience because she needs experience and Percival doesn't. But unfortunately, after hours and hours of failing this map over and over, I was too tired to think of that in the moment, and so Percival ends up getting that kill instead. Kramer breaks his Scimitar Plus here, which is a big loss. Rest in peace, oh mighty weapon that has helped us so much during Kramer's training arc. But its last act is to help out one more time by chipping down the remaining enemy for Kramer to kill. Faye now moves in against the boss. She is capable of 1 round KOing him if she manages to get a number of adept procs and lots of hits, or a critical hit. Unfortunately, she doesn't end up getting it here, which is unfortunate because he's worth a lot of experience points. But it doesn't matter overall because he still has action and he uses it to begin to run away, just like Murtagh from a couple of maps ago. So all that's left is for Kramer to take his final kill and reach level 10, a rather disappointing level 10, but he got strength, so all good. And the way is clear for Laurentia to swoop in and seize to complete the map in 3 turns. That's all for today. I will see you next time.